don't want to get too far into the history because I really and truly, well, I'll tell you something I'd like to talk about.
Okay.
The very place where I'm sitting.
Mm-hmm.
This is your grandmother's house. That's one of your grandmother's paintings. Can they see it?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful house. I hope you can turn the camera on this patio out here. It's just a gorgeous house. And your grandmother is a superb painter. And I've known her, I would judge, for close to 50 years.
Where did you meet her?
And I've always painted. I've loved painting. And today being Tuesday is the day that we painters come. We're now down to 2. But you know, being in the studio with Martha and painting is the most relaxing thing I know. You as a painter ought to know. You get involved in what you're doing and your mind is nowhere else. Isn't that true?
A little state of bliss.
It is. It is. And you're a very good painter, Martita.
I learned from my grandmother.
I remember you as a little girl sitting on the steps when the studio was out here in the building in the garden. And she would give you some crayons or some watercolors which you could use. And you were there, very happily painting. And looking at what you were doing made both of us think, this little girl's got talent.
Well,
and you do.
Thank you. Where did you meet my grandma?
Well, I think we were both members of the Junior League. And I also think that we met probably the first time at the American Embassy, some party, because your grandfather, Mario, was a pilot, and my husband, Don, had been a pilot. And so they got to talking, you know. I think they knew each other before, but the separation between the South and the West, or the North, was huge in those days.
Mm-hmm.
And so we saw each other on and off during many years, and then I started painting with Martha. I had a decorating business then.
Mm-hmm.
I've had several careers before I started writing.
And so you met her through living in Mexico and
That's
being
right.
part of the same social
That's
circles
right.
and art and music and writing.
And your mother was a very good friend of my son. My son, by my first marriage, Reed Thorburn.
Right.
And your mother were in high school together. And then, of course, through Don, I inherited 3 wonderful children. And Vivian belonged to that group
Okay.
at the American school.
Okay.
And they've remained friends forever.
Yeah. I think I saw a video of you talking about the
Maybe so.
the American
Maybe
school.
so.
And can you tell us a little bit about what we were talking about for Diego and how you didn't know him personally, but
No, he had died when I started writing, but he was a counselor for Antonieta,
a counselor.
and of course Antonieta's father had helped him enormously in getting him his first scholarship to go to Europe. Diego was a maverick person, and I tell a story about him in The Shadow of the Angel. But Diego's daughter, whom we met and knew, Lupe Rivera, in San Miguel Allende when Don and I were living there. I said to Lupe, I said, I admire you enormously, knowing who your father was and who your mother was. And she looked at me and laughed, and she said, Well, the reason I seem so normal is that I've only been working with a psychiatrist for 17 years.
That's
What a couple.
That's his daughter.
De veras.
By who? Who's the mother?
Lupe, she was his wife.
Uh-huh.
Diego always said he never married anyone. He did. And Lupe also published a wonderful cookbook on favorite recipes of Diego and Frida. And it's become very popular. Those, people who lived in those years of the 20s, of the beginning of everything new, really, those who lived it, left their mark. And whether they were right or left or up or down didn't matter. And that's why I think that Mexico's history is so fascinating, because Mexico sort of absorbed things as they happened and left out the things they didn't like. And for example, when Antonieta created her theater, I mean, she came back from Europe and they were still, Spaniards giving great speeches on the stage. And so the very first play that she translated from the French considered talking about sex on the stage. And so, of course, everybody said, "Pero Antonieta, nobody's going to come to the theater. I mean, this is terrible, terrible." And the people of that time, they said, "We were highly criticized, but the theater filled every night."
Highly criticized?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was so avant-garde?
Because it was avant-garde, exactly. And it was called Ulysses.
Mm-hmm.
And Antonieta dropped her control of the theater and said, Ulysses can now find his own way. She was an extraordinary woman.
Do you have photographs of her?
Yes, and I have photographs of her in the book.
Oh, good. Yeah.
She was not beautiful, but everybody I talked to who knew her said that her carriage, the way she spoke, her mannerisms, immediately people were drawn to her. And they said Antonieta would enter a room and everybody would turn around and look without knowing who she was or what she was. One of those people with real charisma,
My grandmother is like that, too.
Yes, she is. She certainly is. And so...
what do you think it makes that kind of presence into somebody?
Well, I don't know, I haven't really... Well, in your grandmother's case, I mean, growing up in Arizona, starting on a ranch, going through what she's gone, and coming into Mexico without knowing anything about this country, making a great life for herself here, and enjoying it. I think, and listening to everything on all sides, because conversations among the Mexicans are always those for and those against. I guess it's the same in other countries. But it's interesting to see how certain people really draw you to them. You want to hear more. And she has a great sense of humor, which is important. Well, what can I say? I'm going to stay in Mexico